Hey YouTube, welcome back to another exciting tutorial. Today's subject is going to be the chairlift. The chairlift, though not very difficult, does require a few steps that you need to prepare beforehand. As the name implies, a chair requires the girl to be lifted up overhead as though she is sitting on a chair. The lift originated from cheerleading, but is now also seen in every style across the globe, including ballet.
There are two primary ways to get into this lift that we will discuss, starting with traditional. Traditional requires a lot of strength from the base. Should the base be strong enough, this method can be realized quickly. Starting off with this lift, have the flyer turn her back to the base and the base position himself behind the flyer. The flyer should have her hands in her side, her standing leg starting in passé position. This is counterintuitive, yes, but stick with me. The base should now grab her standing leg with the same side arm. If her standing leg is left, he should grab it with his left arm. Following this, the base needs to squat down so low that his shoulder is underneath the flyer's resting hip and place his hand underneath the flyer so she can literally sit on his hand. Whatever you do as base, make sure you're not bending over or this lift will absolutely ruin your back. On go, the flyer needs to jump straight up. Now the make or break moment. Her standing leg, the leg that's in passé, that one, the flyer needs to push against the base's hand by extending her leg straight down, almost as though she is trying to stand up in that hand. The base in return needs to put all the pressure he can to make sure that arm, again, that arm, does not move downward under any circumstance, simultaneously pushing straight up on the seat arm, of course. With many lifts, it is incredibly important to be working in straight lines, and this lift is no exception. Make absolutely certain that the overhead arm is pressed straight up into the air, past your ear, and that your back is always straight. If the base's legs are not strong enough, the lift can feel near impossible. But keep practicing your squats, CrossFit style, and you should have this in no time. Method 2 is the cheer step-in. Cheer step-in is much more versatile and can be set into choreography much easier. It also requires less strength, but at least double the technique. Instead of the flyer facing away from the base, you are now going to face each other directly. This time, the base is going to get things started by making another deep squat. Again guys, never forget leg day. Leg power makes up for 80% of partnering work. The flyer steps with her standing leg on the same leg of the base, as far up the hip as possible. If her standing leg is left, she should be standing with her left leg on top of his left leg. She needs to be as close to the center as possible, which is why she needs to step so high. The base should now grab that leg with the same side arm, again, left leg, left arm, and finally place his strong arm underneath the flyer so she can sit on top of his hand. The flyer should put her standing arm on top of his inside shoulder and her opposite arm on top of his head. Make it or break it. The flyer needs to jump straight into the air, forcing her jumping leg straight down, pulling her passé leg into position and pushing down on both her hands, and I mean straight down, lest you want to push your base away from you. The flyer also must twist 20 degrees to the front to make sure she is facing straight to her audience. The base must push straight with both hands, keeping the jumping leg close to his body and pressing the sitting hand straight past his ear directly overhead. Go Pro! The chairlift will put the flyer higher off the ground than any other conventional lift there is. Only acrobatic throws and directly standing on top of the base will get you higher. As you can see here in our GoPro shot, the flyer loses all contact from the mirror and is now well past comfortable height to land without hurting herself. That is why it's very important to slow down the descent as much as you can and assist the flyer's landing to help your flyer from blowing out her knees. Easiest way to descend is to just end the lift. This is not very complicated. Bring the flyer directly in front of you, slow down her descent by pushing back with your seat hand, then release the passé leg and use that arm instead to catch your flyer's waist. Use this arm to support her landing. Quintero variation. This descent variation was created by a dancer called Gabriel Quintero in the late 2000s, and thus it's still quite new. In the air, have the flyer perform a small rond de jambe to get her passé leg to the back of the base. Once the leg is there, the flyer should rotate her body a quarter turn to the outside. Simultaneously, the base should bring his seat hand to his same side shoulder. At this point, the flyer is sitting on the base's shoulder. From here, the flyer needs to take a leap of faith and drop back sideways towards the base's opposite shoulder. Once the flyer reaches this shoulder, the base should reach backwards and around to wrap his arm around the torso of the flyer. Now gently pull on the flyer's torso while pushing your seat hand upwards to give the flyer momentum to perform a back walkover. Once the flyer touches down, offer her the hand you placed on her torso to allow her to stabilize herself. Warning: for the flyers, do not drop straight backwards. If you do, you will end up in a deadfall and the base can do nothing to save you. Make sure you always drop directly to the opposite arm and not directly backwards.
The spotter.
Spotting a chair is straightforward, though tricky without some kind of platform. I position myself behind the flyer and help push her into the air slightly to help the couple in the early stages. As they get more versed, I go from assisting in the lift to purely stabilizing the flyer in the air and catching her should the lift go wrong.
And that's our chairlift tutorial. We hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe. It helps us out very much. And let us know how you did in the comments below. If there's a lift you'd like to see, then leave us a request. And don't forget to check out our other videos on choreographies and lifts that are out there. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.